Hey everybody, Craig back at you out on the 2023 BMW GSA. On my way to pick up some food, some dinner. I live in Buffalo, New York, and I am headed to Niagara Cafe to get some chicken and some red beans and rice. And if you live in Buffalo, you know. you know Niagara Cafe. If you live in Buffalo and you don't know, well, you better ask somebody, because that is the spot. But anyway, the other day I was asked, why don't black people ride adventure bikes? Now I have to say, the person that asked me the question, they weren't trying to be funny. They weren't trying to, I don't know, start any issues, start any drama. They were just like, hey, I noticed when I look at a lot of videos on YouTube and I'm looking at adventure bikes, I don't see a lot of black people riding adventure bikes. And I just think it's factual. I think it's probably a good point. You don't see a lot of black people on adventure bikes. I think I know at least, I don't know anyone personally in this area, any black people that own adventure bikes. I think online I know of 2 other black people that own adventure bikes, but you just don't see a lot of us on these bikes. Now I've got 2 reasons that I think that is. Both are based culturally. One I would say is more speculation on my part. The other one I think is factual. I just think it's factual. But let me give you the 2 reasons why I think that black people don't ride adventure bikes. And here's the first reason. Now, for many of us, black people, minorities, a lot of us grew up in the cities, in urban areas, inner city, and as opposed to a lot of white people, not a lot, but white people who had the opportunity to grow up in the suburbs or in the rural areas. So when you grow up in a rural area, you're exposed to certain things that just by the nature of growing up in the city, you're not exposed to. One being dirt bikes. I know quite a few people that grew up in a rural area that say, hey, when I was young, I got my first dirt bike and I used to ride, dirt bikes when I was a kid, and I transitioned to this, and then ultimately they end up, at a certain age, they end up on an adventure bike because they're reliving that off-road experience they got on a dirt bike. Growing up in this inner city, we didn't have that. There was no dirt bikes to ride in the inner city. You couldn't ride them anywhere. You couldn't ride dirt bikes up and down the street. You didn't have any land to ride a dirt bike on, so we never got that off-road experience. Hence, we never missed an off-road experience because we never had it. I think a lot of guys in there, because you're talking about adventure bikes, a lot of guys are middle-aged that buy adventure bikes. They're reliving that experience, that fun they had when they were younger, and they were on their little dirt bikes, and their dad or their granddad taught them how to ride a bike. How many times have you heard someone say, oh, my very first bike was a dirt bike? For us, you're not going to hear that. Our very first bike wasn't a dirt bike. So again, we're not trying to relive an experience that we never had. So hence, there's not the big draw to get an adventure bike, which I consider to be a grown-up dirt bike. So without having that off-road experience to fall back on, there's no desire to do it. Me, I like this bike. But I didn't buy this bike because I wanted to go off-road. I'll give you, for those of you who have seen my videos, I'll kind of give you why I bought this bike, how I ended up with the GS Adventure. How I ended up with the GS Adventure was I was at Americade one year and they had the demo trucks, they had the BMW demo truck, and one of the workers there said, hey, why don't you take, a GS out for a demo ride? I was like, I don't know, but it was available, so I said, okay, I'll take it. I went out and I went on the highway like I am now, and I just was amazed at how this bike handled. I mean, it didn't handle, I'm not going to put it in the category as my Gold Wing. It's not that smooth, but man, it is smooth. It's close, not Gold Wing category, but it's close. And I remember that ride that I had, and I was like, wow, I really was impressed. So I liked the on-road ride of this bike. So I always said to myself, down the road, that'd be a nice bike to pick up to go on-road. And that's what I do. I don't go off-road with this bike. I don't try to get special tires to go off-road with this bike. I'm not going off-road with this bike. I just have no desire. Somewhere down the road, could that change? Yeah, sure it could change. But even for me, a person who grew up in the city with a GS Adventure, I have no plans of doing any off-road adventure. So let's talk about the second reason why black people don't buy adventure bikes. And this is factual. I don't care what you say, it's factual. This is why black people don't buy adventure bikes. Because adventure bikes are butt ugly. They're just ugly bikes. There's no, and you can't argue with me on this. It's, if you have an adventure bike, I don't care what you got a Multistrada, you've got a Yamaha, you got a KTM, you got a BMW. If you got a adventure bike, that bike is ugly. One of the things culturally that when we look at, we look at style, and I'll tell you, adventure bike is not a head turner. I mean, you're not turning anybody's heads with the big ugly aluminum side cases. It's just not an appealing looking bike. Let me give you an example. When I'm on my Goldwing, now you might not think the Goldwing's an appealing bike, but it's a head turner. I'm on the Goldwing. If I'm at a gas station, the other day I'm just in traffic, stopped at a light. People will roll down their windows who don't even ride motorcycles and look and say, I like that bike. That's nice. I like that. You're not going to get that. No one is rolling down their window on your Super Duke or whatever it is, adventure bike, if I'm even saying that right, and saying, wow, that's a great bike. It's not, because it's not a head turner. What we get confused with, an adventure bike might be a head turner for those motorcyclists. So if you have a bike, I'll give you another example. I'm at the gym the other day. I'm on my BMW. I just pull up to the gym. Guy's walking out of the gym, walks over to my BMW and says how much he likes the bike, how much he likes the look of the bike, and how he just likes it. He was a Harley rider. He told me, he rode a Street Glide, and so he came over because he just liked the bike. If adventure bikes are turning any heads, the only heads it's turning is from other motorcycle riders who are interested in other bikes. But Joe Blow, who cares nothing about motorcycles, could care less about your ugly adventure bike, because that's what they see it as, an ugly adventure bike. Culturally, black people, we've always been, I don't say stylish, but maybe it is the correct word. We want a bike that's a head turner. We want a car that's a head turner. For years, it was our vehicles that your vehicle got you dates. Let's just put it that way. If you had a nice car, it didn't make a difference what was going on. If you had a nice car, you was going to get a date. If you look at the bikes that we have, or we get Harleys, we get bikes that we can customize, we get bikes that we can add sound systems to, kind of like just show them off. Are we riding them? Of course we're riding them. But appearance is everything to us, and appearance to the layperson means a lot to us. We want people walking up to us that know nothing about motorcycles going, I don't ride a motorcycle, but I like that. That's just culturally the way we've been. And I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. You might say, well, I could care less what people think about my bike. I understand that, but I'm just saying that's why the second reason why we don't buy adventure bikes. One, we're not going off-road because we don't have that background and we don't have the desire. And two, the bike is ugly. And while I'm slow going here in traffic, stuck in traffic, I'll give you another reason why your adventure bike is butt ugly even though you don't think it is. How about this? You ever been to a bike night? You ever been to, just an event where there's bikes and they have, best looking, best sounding, most customized bike. They're giving out awards. They're just having a, competition for best looking bike. Have you ever seen an adventure bike win that? No, you haven't. You know why? Because they're butt ugly. They just are. You're never going to see, best in class or best in show for adventure bikes. It's just not happening because, like I said. So anyway, that's kind of my take on it. When the person asked me the question, I just figured I'd throw it out there and give my 2 cents. That's not worth 2 cents, but I am very interested in your opinions on the topic. And I will say this to close this video out. I'll say this. I think that it's just a matter of time before you see more blacks, more minorities getting into the adventure bike thing. I do think, from what I can gather, it's fun. I don't have any desire to go off-road, but people love it. And when something's fun, people tend to gravitate toward it. More people are going to do it. So I do think the population of blacks owning adventure bikes, buying them, and then taking them off-road. I do think that will increase, but for right now, those are my reasons why you don't see a lot of it. So again, put your comments down there, your thoughts, your ideas. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I hope everybody stays blessed, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care, everybody.